What is energy? Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And I'm a big fan of Tesla. And Tesla, this is how he thought about the world. He, as a scientist, it's weird, right? He didn't think about, yes, the world's made up of matter, but we forget the other half, you could say, maybe more of the world actually, is just of energy. It's just easy to see matter. And it got me thinking, energy, like it all starts, I mean, this is easy, like I got this written up here. Calories are a unit of energy in the human body. Like a fat, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Easy enough. Carbohydrates, 4 grams per gram, 4 calories per gram, and protein, 4 calories per gram. Easy. I knew this from day one. I mean, you guys know this too from nutrition. I mean, it's a unit of energy. We got to keep track of our energy if we want to keep the weight off, right? If we want to maintain or up the calories to get, um, to gain more weight. But it just got me thinking, like, I think we're focusing on the wrong things as people. And I'm talking about any endeavor. Like, this started with training and fitness and nutrition, right? But then it just got me thinking about more of these things, about the rest of the universe that Tesla's talking about. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. And I'm going to do my best to explain these complex ideas I have the best I can possible. I've been avoiding this video because I don't think I know enough about it, and I still don't, but I got to make a video at some point, so I'm doing it right now. So I'm going to do my best to explain what I have in my head right here and what I learned about energy, because I believe this is what we should be focusing on if we want to change anything in our life. Because I got this from, like I told you, it started from training and fitness, but martial arts. It started in martial arts. This is when this idea came to me. Because it's funny too, it's like out of all the places, it came from fiction. Like Dragon Ball Z especially. I mean, it's obvious, they're using like ki attacks, energy attacks. It's not just all brawn and their muscles that they're using. I mean, I could go for Hunter x Hunter. They're using Nen, Naruto. They use chakra. I mean, there's an energy system, especially in this Eastern anime. Eastern fiction and manga, right? They're always using like these energy systems, and this is like deep in the East, right? And this is kind of common knowledge and household thing that like this life force energy that they have, right? And in martial arts and training, this is what you're trying to develop, who your life force energy to defeat an opponent. And the same thing goes for MMA. It's the same thing. Whoever has more energy is going to win. Whoever has more power is going to win. And obviously in MMA, I'm like trying to figure out how to cultivate this energy, because I only have so much mass, right? And especially if I want to defeat people bigger than me, well, I need a lot more energy to do it because I only have so much mass. A lot of people, I notice a lot of fighters, they just rely on their mass, especially if they're fighting smaller people. But that they're just relying on their attributes, and I'm not the biggest person. I mean, I'm probably like 5'9" on a good day. I'm 180, pretty big for my size though. But like the weight class I should be fighting is like 155, right? So when I was training heavy, I was always, I had to be small to get ready to fight. But I just one thing that people notice about me in the gym is I just had so much energy, and this is what I was trying to master. If I could have the most energy, I could defeat anybody. I, I could take down any man. It doesn't matter how big you are because I have more energy. I could keep on moving. Because no matter what's happening, I'll keep on moving throughout the fight. Movement is life, and stillness and stiffness is death. I mean, it just gets to it. And and I always had this energy, and I tried like actually I got the book right here. I love pulling out books that I've read because I've learned so much from these guys. But Wim Hof, I mean, the Wim Hof method, I mean, I could talk about this all day, but just using my breath to control my energy, because I use this in my strength and conditioning or in between rounds in MMA sparring. And I would use this Wim Hof training, to this Wim Hof breathing that he coined, right? And basically I'm like almost like hyperventilating, and it just gives you a boost of energy, and it comes out from nowhere. and it's unbelievable. And this is what I'm getting to. And you even see in these anime and fiction, they're always talking about the breath. Like, Avatar with the firebenders, they're always talking about the firebender gets his strength from his breath, which is very true in real life, you know? And like, I could name so many points in fiction that they talk about this, but the breath is everything. I mean, right here I got written under prana and Sanskrit and Tibet, India. They believe that's where your life force comes from. That is the life energy, because if you're not breathing, you're not alive. So think about it. And that's where your energy comes from. And I could come at this from so many angles right now, so bear with me, guys. Bear with me. But in martial arts, like, I just realized this is what I had to cultivate. But then I got deeper into it because I was getting like kind of esoteric with it, and as a kid I always wanted Dragon Ball Z and be like Goku and Vegeta, have that actually control your life energy and maybe shoot it out of your hands, right? That was cool. But now then I started really thinking about it, like, this fiction is based off of reality. This is a real thing. Like, like, I'm dead serious. This is a real thing. I mean, it's based off of reality. This is how we got the idea. This is why it's in manga and fiction. It's because there's energy inside of us and we don't know how to control it. And I would even go so far as say they don't want us to know how to control it. And I'm going to talk about it right here in some ways. But in training and fitness, I mean, we all know how to control our, maintain our body, and especially in MMA, cutting weight, gaining weight, to gain muscle in the off season and everything. We got to control the calories coming in, and calories is a unit of heat, and that got me thinking about, like, well, where do calories come from? Well, they come from the sun. I mean, people back in the day, they used to worship the sun. Believe it or not. I mean, in ancient Greece, it was Helios, right? And you had Ra in ancient Egypt. I mean, this stuff goes far back, especially the Egyptians, major sun worshippers. And this even goes into like Christianity and stuff that kind of demonize this with Lucifer, because that's what Lucifer is, the light bringer, or with the Venus, the morning star, with the sun coming up. But everything comes from the sun, and it makes sense why people worship the sun back in ancient times, because that is where our energy comes from. That's where heat, calories come from, because obviously the sun hits the plants and photosynthesize, and the plants photosynthesize the light coming from the sun, and obviously they grow, and animals eat the plants, and we eat the animals, and we eat the plants also, and they become a part of us. And this is all energy coming from the sun, and these carbon-based life forms, everything on the earth needs the sun to survive. I mean, there's very few organisms. I mean, like, you got those organisms, and they use like chemogenesis in a deep underwater, in like the darkest parts of the ocean, but that's about it. It's like, everything else uses the sun. And I could even claim some of their sources and stuff come from the sun indirectly coming in. It's just like even like creatures underwater too. You really think about it. It's just like everything uses the sun, and it just got me. And this makes so much sense. It's just like Napoleon Bonaparte actually said, if he were to worship a god, it would be the sun. And it makes sense because everybody before, all the people he looked up to worship the sun, and all the ancients did, and it makes sense. It's up there in the sky. It controls everything. It means so much. I mean, this is why they're trying to block out the sun with chemtrails, and they're trying to change the weather with HARP and cloud seeding, and none of this is bullshit either. I mean, like, look at Dubai. Dubai wouldn't exist if it wasn't for cloud seeding, for changing the weather. I mean, like, they've been doing this in the Soviet Union. I mean, look into it. It's not conspiracy, people. Like, we're that powerful, we can control the weather. But the sun, this is where we get all of our energy from. And like, this is really like, it's so mundane because, I mean, it's mundane because we see the sun every day and we take it for granted. But when you really think about it, it's very extraordinary that we live on a planet like this. And it makes sense that our ancestors worshiped the sun as they did. And again, this started with this. I'm like, well, are you telling me that the reason why I can move my body, I could speak right now, I'm talking on this camera? I mean, the person that made the camera. I mean, the person that wrote, the people that wrote all these books behind me, the people who made this whiteboard, this pen right here. I mean, this is all because of the sun? This is all because of energy? An energy transference? Is this what's happening? Like, this is really unbelievable. And it just got me thinking, I'm like, can you really see a calorie? Like, no one's ever thought about that. I mean, obviously, you eat them all the time, right? But you can't see a calorie. Like, I like to say, like, since I know nutrition so well, I can eyeball some foods and see how calorically dense they are. But really, I'm just looking at the mass. I'm looking at the matter. Because you can tell if something's, you know, greasy or the way it smells or whatever. But you can't see the calories. You can't see the energy, which got me thinking about. Because there's only so many forms of energy you can actually sense and see. With the light spectrum and everything. But like, it just got me thinking because like, yeah, if I want to, again, it's so simple, so mundane, but people don't think about it and they take it for granted. And when it came to martial arts, I was thinking, okay, well, I need my technique down if I want the strongest force possible. You know, uh, mass times acceleration equals force. You know, if I want to throw a punch, right, I need to have everything in place to throw everything into it to actually make damage my opponent, keep him from coming at me, because I need that on point. I mean, of course, my mass is there. Of course, my strength is there, and my body's been trained because that's all I think about. That's all we all think about, right? We just want to think about how good we look, right? We want how other people perceive us, but we're not thinking about the energy. Because, like, again, I'll say it again. I'm gonna keep on saying it. Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets in the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And this is why Nikola Tesla is so visionary. And again, we gotta give him credit. I mean, like, Nikola Tesla basically invented everything in the modern world, from our cell phones to our lights, TVs. I mean, you name it, everything. He has so many patents, and like, majority of people stole his patents too. So even though they might be under someone else, he was actually the one that started this. Like, such doesn't get the credit that he does, honestly. But he's so true, and I started thinking about that in martial arts, and I realized, like, compared to my teammates and other people, I was doing extraordinary things. I mean, especially for my size. I mean, I was still fearsome, and I'm not bragging right now. It's just, I think it was just because I'm thinking about in terms of energy, because I've always been, like, growing up, I've always been the smallest guy in the room. I've always been the weakest guy in the room. I wasn't strong. I wasn't capable. But when I started thinking about like this in energy, things completely changed. It doesn't matter about my physical matter. It matters about it matters about the energy that I give off, and how I use it. And that's what martial arts is. It's using your energy inside of you. And you could say, actually, do you see how martial arts go into everything else in life? Because isn't that what everything in life is? Learning how to use your energy to actually achieve things. Yeah, and everything comes from martial arts for me. Everything started with martial arts. It's what I know most in life. Fighting and martial arts. Fighting and training. There's nothing. Yeah, see, I'm gonna have a hard time talking about this. It's just, it's hitting home right now. But it's what I know most. And from that, I learned Miyamoto Musashi. I learn one thing, no, learn 10,000 things, and this is why it's helped me with so many other things in life. So I'll always give homage to martial arts and training for everything it's done for me, because it's taken me all the way here. Especially thinking about things like this. And energy, I got my iPad right here. So this is a Wikipedia. This is what's gonna happen when you type in energy into Google, right? And I think it's good enough, right? It says energy, the quantitative property that is transferred to the body or to a physical system, recognizable in the capacity to do work in a form of heat or light. Not bad. Makes sense. That's what energy is. And energy, guys, right here I got it written. The law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So think about that. Even more interesting, because we know this with matter. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed. It's just transferred. So everything in the universe, there's a finite amount of energy. Because energy looks like it just comes out of thin air, right? So that's even more interesting, because there's energy from the sun. comes down into the plants, like the whole circle of life that I'm talking about. That, and then it just dissipates from there, and then it goes into other things, and it's always moving. And so that I just find so fascinating. That I find so interesting. I mean, like, in martial arts, like one thing I'm thinking about, because I got bad wrists, right, from just throwing so many punches on people and hitting people in their skulls. People's skulls are very, very hard, very dense, and even if you are break someone's nose, that energy that goes into them, it's gonna go right back into Newton's third law of physics, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So this is why it's not a very smart thing to box someone in the street, because your hands are made up, the bones in your hands are just made up of these little bones that are bunched together, and if you punch something, they just come out of place. And yeah, you mess up your hands real bad boxing a lot. Like, like Floyd Mayweather. I mean, dude could barely use his hands. This is why he went to the Philly shell and he was just focusing more on points and defense, because his hands were just destroyed. Like, this is just what happens when you've been boxing for that many years. But it's just like energy, like right there, like everything just goes back to martial arts for me and fighting. It's just energy's always being moved around. It just blows my mind. And it's just like, and it blows my mind because I'm learning this more and more, and like using the Wim Hof method in training. I mean, I did some amazing feats. I mean, our coach would make us run uh, in the freezing cold. Every time there's a snowstorm, we're outside. Every time it was going down. I mean, I've even actually ran barefoot in the snow. But it was only with this Wim Hof method I could actually survive. I mean, bare minimum, we could wear a hat and gloves. I chose not to go without shoes to actually test this method to push my body to the limits. And this is what I want to do right now with you guys. This is what I want to teach and pass on, because I really do believe I push my body to the limit, and I want to help others do the same thing. I mean, this is what being a human is. This is what about transcending, actually becoming something more. And I believe this is part of the Ubermensch, the Superman, becoming something greater. And I believe I'm doing this with my body, and now I'm doing it with other things. And right here, I'm thinking about, okay, what goes into energy? And again, with martial arts, I'm thinking about, like, I got some things written right: potential energy, kinetic energy, thermal energy. We give off heat. Potential energy, where we have energy just existing, just standing there. Maybe like I'm in my stance, right? I got potential energy right here with my knees bent, my elbows tucked, my hands up. I'm ready to throw a punch, because if I'm out of place or I'm not in my stance, I can't throw the proper technique and it'll be weak, and I can't damage and hurt my opponent. And you could say chemical energy in your brain, in your stomach. I mean, chemical energy. I mean, even like the fight or flight response happening in my brain when I'm fighting, or me using my eyes, or me breaking down my food. And another thing that hit me hard was electricity. So in martial arts, so I got a boxing background. I don't know if you can see my full stance in the video, but I had a real bladed stance because I practiced a lot of karate, kickboxing, and boxing in general, because you got a bladed stance. You got to open up your stance for MMA, basically a wrestling stance on bottom. But I was getting my leg kicked out when calf kicks were all the thing, and I was getting my peroneal nerve chopped up. And that was one hardcore lesson. I got multiple hardcore lessons on the electricity of the body, I can tell you. But my peroneal nerve was partially severed. And then if I lift my leg up, I couldn't control my leg. And in martial arts, to be able to stand like this on one leg is very important for me to throw kicks and everything. And my leg, I just couldn't control it like how I can right now. Because before it was just all over the place. It was like this. I had no control. I could barely stand on it. Because I got it kicked in so many times. And that's when I started learning about energy. That's when I started learning about more about the electricity in the body. Or even like I had 3 slip discs in my back. One in my lower back, my mid back, and my neck. And every time I would turn my head, I could just shocks electricity go down my arms. And I could tell you, when I first felt this, when I woke up in the morning, my legs were numb. I thought I was a paraplegic. I, I felt like there was a sword stuck up from my heel all the way down my leg. It was awful. I don't wish anybody this experience. But like, I just knew, I mean, just studying and learning about it, the electricity in my body was all off because it was affecting my spinal cord. And then it's sending all these random messages everywhere. And basically, my body was confused. And especially with my leg and having this, you kind of get disassociated from your body because you think it's automatic. But if you haven't had these nerve problems before, you trust your body completely. But this was a really tough time, but it was a blessing. It was an absolute blessing in disguise because I actually got to learn about electricity in the body because we are electrical beings. No one thinks about humans like this. We are electrical. Like the way we move like machines. Our brain, like I just don't know why this isn't stated enough. I mean, think about electrolytes. Electrolytes. You know, we're 70% water. There's a reason why we're 70% water. Electricity could just pass through us easily. You know, we think about electricity like us getting shocked and electrocuted and dying, right? But we don't think about electricity keeping us alive. I mean, it's a double-edged sword right there, you know? And electricity is just everything. I mean, this is how I'm moving right now. This is how I'm speaking. This is how my brain's working, right? I mean, think about when someone's almost dead and the paramedics come in and shock the person back to life. You know, our heart runs on electrical current. And I could even get into this. We give off, and because of this, we have an electromagnetic energy, a torus field, or an aura right here. And that aura, as I talk about a lot. And I believe it's a real thing because we're just so bountiful in energy. We have so much energy as human beings. So many things are going inside of us. Like I just named a few things in our energy system in our body. But like there's so much more. There's so much more, and there's probably a lot more that I'm not even knowledgeable, or I haven't even discovered, or humanity hasn't even discovered yet. But there's so many things going in our body, and it's just we are electrical beings. This is what we are. We gotta start thinking like this. We're amazing things, and if we don't, and again, we can't change anything in our lives if we don't think about this. Because one thing society is being plagued by is a lack of energy. Everyone's testosterone's low. Everyone's overweight. Everyone's exhausted. Insomnia. Nobody has any glee for life. Everyone's tired. I mean, like again, like this is how you control population. This is how you keep people slaves. You keep their energy low. In ancient Greece, slaves weren't allowed to train. They weren't allowed to weightlift. Yeah, for good reason. Majority of slaves throughout history, they never had good food. Yeah, that makes sense. They don't want their energy high. I mean, high enough to work and slave away, but not high enough to actually change their lives and do something about it. But this is very, very important. Like the the electricity in our body. It's just, and Nikola Tesla knew this. Nikola Tesla was so ahead of his time, he couldn't speak to anybody about it. I really believe this is what we are. And right here, and let me get into a little bit more of this later, but The Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. I'm going to give him credit for this. And I got this from a book. He's got a whole series of books. I recommend you guys all to read them, right? But this is Power versus Force. Let me get into this. Because I believe the energies that I just brought up, and I'm talking about everything. I'll be here all day explaining this, but the calories you eat in, the ATP you produce, the adenosine triphosphate, you know, and to actually cultivate energy in your mitochondria. I mean, the potential kinetic, mechanical, thermal, heat, chemical, whatever you want to say, what all the energy that's happening in your body gets cultivated in. I like to call it your consciousness. And think about it, like, and this is a simple way of consciousness, but I love working on cars. And it's got me thinking about this a little bit, and you guys can't see it over here, but I work on electronics too, studying more about electricity. I got some skin in the game on electricity. I'm not bullshitting you guys. I actually rebuilt the whole electrical system in my car, and it's very simple, but it made me understand my own body and what the electrical system actually is. You know, But the car has sensors. The car can actually sense itself. And the car has almost like a brain, a computer system that collects data. And the car could tell me things. And it could respond to its environment. So it's like, this got me thinking, I'm like, how many sensors can I put in a car to make it more self-aware? And now you got Teslas that add AI, and the car's even more advanced. Like, my car's pretty old at the end of the day. But like, how many things can you add? How sophisticated can you make these things be for this machine to become sentient? I don't remember the author's name, but it's called Ghost in the Machine. And the anime Ghost in the Shell talks a lot about these themes, which I recommend reading and even watching too. The 1998 movie, but it talks about basically like machines are almost like living things. And honestly, the machines that we create are kind of just bastardized versions of ourselves. I mean, scientists and engineers, they look at nature to get ideas from, because those are the best machines out there that God made, God's creations. But it's like the electricity that moves these things, that it's like, this is really what it is. I mean, electricity is borderline magic. I mean, completely changed the world, and there's the help of Nikola Tesla, going back to him over here. And I bring up David R. Hawkins because I believe his map of consciousness is really precise, and I really like the way he put it. And he talks about, and I believe consciousness is, it's an amalgamation, a wholeness, a cultivation of all these energies, and we call it our consciousness. And this is what we give off. You could say our vibes, or aura, like, and I love how that meme is alive and well right now. But this, he's basically talking about your aura, and he claims that he can test your aura by testing your muscles, because the weaker your aura, the weaker your muscles. The stronger your aura, the stronger your muscles. And that blew me away, because from martial arts, so I don't know if you guys could see right here, but anger. So there's neutrality. That's the middle. Everything below is force. Everything above is power. I fought from a lot of anger in my life, and I thought anger was amazingly useful. I was a very angry person, especially in my 20s, for the circumstances that I've lived through in life. And I used that in my fighting and martial arts, but I thought that was just. I thought it was good. But there's so many people I would fight in martial arts that weren't angry. If anything, they're coming from these higher states of mind, like peace, or even joy, love, reason, acceptance, willingness. Some of them maybe even enlightenment. And I never understood why I couldn't beat these people. Like, I mean, I thought it was just a lack of skill, to be honest. I mean, I was fighting like an animal. Like, in the beginning of my martial arts journey, I had no skill. I was just all brute force. I was just thinking about mass, right? It's just that's all I cared about. I had mass, I had strength, I could throw my weight around, and that's what I was doing. I was just being a brute. But I would meet people in these higher states of consciousness that would beat me. And then Hawkins is talking about, you could basically test, put a needle in a muscle and test your electricity going through it, and that makes you stronger. And it is true. And this is when I changed on my martial arts journey, because I went from anger. I'm like, how can I get away from anger? How can I stop fighting from this? Because over here, like, even like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire. I mean, I was probably in those states of mind even a lot more. I mean, fighting out of shame. I mean, just trying to prove yourself. Guilt. I mean, you don't know what to do. You're just so angry. Grief. You don't want to think about anything else. It's just so easy to fight. Fear. That's just easy. It's just like this. You're in survival mode. Desire for something greater. I mean, you know, become the champ. And then anger. I thought that's all there was. And especially, I got a little bit of pride. That comes up right above anger. And I just couldn't understand why I couldn't like beat these people. I couldn't understand why they're winning over me and embarrassing me and not even trying, and they're not even exhausted. They're not putting any effort in. And I believe this is, and when I read Hawkins on this was unbelievable. And this goes to everything in life. He actually names plenty of people in these examples of each one, like enlightenment, like Jesus Christ would be there, or maybe peace. He would be talking about like Gandhi or Mother Teresa, right? And he just went down the list explaining each one what people represent in history, and he puts a number on it too. And you could see the emotional state, view of life, God's view, the process. Like anger, I realized when I was fighting from anger, I was at 125. It was craving. I thought that was a very interesting craving. Like that doesn't make any sense. And my view of life was frightening because I'm projecting. That's what I was doing, especially projecting on my opponent because I was scared, right? And punitive. I mean, from God's view, it's like nothing. It's like, what am I? I'm just an animal, right? It's just like really embarrassing. And the process right here, withdrawal, get away from anger. And Hawkins believes for you to move up, you got to go up each level. You can't just go from anger straight to enlightenment. You got to go from each level going up. So I had to go to courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace. And especially my MMA training, I had to understand where was I at when I was fighting someone. Was I fighting out of fear? Was I fighting out of desire? Was I fighting out of anger? Because there's a difference between winning and losing. And then I have to see this in my opponent. Where is he at? Because if he's in a higher state of consciousness than me, do you see what I'm saying? Right now I'm talking about combat and martial arts. But if my opponent is in a higher state of consciousness than me, I'm losing. This is just what it is. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of guys I'm stronger, I'm faster, I have more conditioning, I have better skills. But if they're in a higher state of consciousness, I'm losing against them. That blew me away. And this makes sense. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman of Japan, that went 60-0 in one-on-one duels, and the guy didn't even have a proper sword. He was just a homeless man walking around fighting people. He had a bokken. A bokken is basically a wooden stick that he carved out from a branch. So he was beating people with stainless steel swords, katanas, with just a bokken, a wooden sword. Unbelievable. That's where his skill is at. But I believe this is what Musashi found. These are all great conquerors and warriors in history. I mean, they start at a very low place like this, and this is why they win. This is why they could defeat their opponents, especially Musashi with a wooden. That you guys, this is real. It's not fiction. Like you could look it up. There's accounts on this. Like this is very recorded. Like you're beating men with katanas. Again, I'll say it again with wooden sticks. Like absolutely unbelievable. I believe he was in a higher state of mind than these people because after Musashi went 60-0 in duels, he gave up fighting and basically became a polymath. I mean, start painting, start doing calligraphy, became a Zen master, a Zen Buddhist. I mean, like unbelievable how much this guy did, and he trained other people, other young samurais, in the I believe it was under Tokugawa during I want to say he lived during the Edo period, right before the Meiji Restoration, 14 around 1400. Skander Bay, uh, I want to say Dracula or Dracula, in Romania, you know, all these time like just painting a time period for Da Vinci, close to the Renaissance. This was happening in Europe. This is what Musashi was doing, and he was fighting. He was in a higher state of mind, and Hawkins blew me away with this because he's basically describing our energy source, and like how we cultivate it and how we become who we are. Like this is really what it is, and people feel us in our aura because in fighting, aura in martial arts is a real thing. Because there's some individuals I see, I mean, they're very frightening. I think I could see a fighter when he walks in the room, to be honest. Or actually, I could see any man. I mean, like military guy, a cop, anybody that uses force, I guess, or they put their power physically on other individuals. I don't even know how to describe it right now. What I'm trying to say, but just a person that uses his might against others, like I could sense it, especially you've been around these people for so long, and I believe it's a part of their aura. You need a lot of energy to use your force, your might, physically overtake people, and whatever that is in war and law enforcement or martial arts. You need a lot of energy to do that. take over other powerful men. I mean, probably the same auras that these conquerors, Miyamoto Musashi, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, all definitely had. You know, and I don't need to know this to ever see them in person, honestly. But the it's a state of consciousness, and this comes from their energy. Another great conqueror. I love this quote. Charlemagne, Charles the Great, the Holy Roman Empire during the Middle Ages, Germanic king. What you think of the Middle Ages and knights. This is who you think of, Charlemagne. There's land for Charles the Great. Take take care of your body and then your soul. For the soul is the light of the body. And this is true. This is what we're cultivating. This is what we use everything we can't see. This is energy. This is a part of our soul energy or consciousness. Like these labels are so weird because you could just interchange them: consciousness, soul, energy, whatever. And I really believe that is, in warriors of old actually knew this. They understood soul energy. They understand this. And we see, and again, going back, we see this in fiction or ki, chakra, uh, in Dragon Ball, Haki, and One Piece, and even like right here, life force energy is still talked about. I mean, mana from the Maori tribe in New Zealand, ka in ancient Egypt, like I was talking about before, it all comes from the sun. Prana from Tibet, and it talked about the breathing. China, chi, used in kung fu and martial arts. Ki in Japan, vril from German and occult sciences, and from the Thule Society and um, Theosophy, I want to say, from Helen Blavatsky and others in Germany and Austria, and Neoma in ancient Greece, or Loosh, and Loosh. I'm gonna get into that later, but Robert Monroe and Loosh farming, and basically reptilians and other entities trying to take our energy. They call it Loosh farming, that I'm gonna get into in the gateway process right here. But the energy is a real thing because you can feel it, you can sense it, other people could talk about it. This isn't a thing. And a lot of these energies we didn't know existed until science had to prove it to us. Like electromagnetic energy, electricity. People didn't understand these things. Some of these things people don't even think they're real. Like, it's just nonsense. And things are coming out more and more every single day. I mean, look at radiation. Everyone's talking about 5G. Everyone's talking about these towers that we're putting up everywhere for our cellular service. People are getting worried about 6G and everything, or even Wi-Fi. Like I even saw, I think it's called leaky brain. The Wi-Fi breaks down the blood-brain barrier because everybody has their Wi-Fi on 24/7, and that's not good. And think about, or even like people have brain tumors on the sides of their head where they hold their phone, or men have low sperm count because their cellular device is always in their pocket next to their private parts. Like, I mean, people are just discovering this, and the average person is learning more and more about energy. But again, I'll say it again. If you want to learn about the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And now everything is making sense. But, and it's funny because this is going with our technology, but we should learn about our bodies first. Hindu and Buddhist texts, chakras in Naruto, Avatar, they actually talk about, probably that scene is the best, talking about chakras. But we basically have 7 chakras in our body, right here. And this reminds me of this because the base chakra deals in survival, and the crown chakra, all the way up top, deals in enlightenment. This is what it is: moving this energy up your body, up your spinal cord. And this is the same thing David R. Hawkins is talking about, moving this energy up. And this is what I was trying to do in martial arts and fighting, to become the greatest fighter there ever was, honestly. And to move this energy up. And in Hindu, they call this Kundalini. This is where we're moving up. I don't know if it's a safe thing to do. I don't know if it's demonic in nature, to be honest. I don't know. I still have my doubts about it. Or even like the sexual energy, because it comes from the base, or sexual alchemy, or tantra. If you know all that. Like this, I don't know, I'm very observant of things. I want to learn about things, but I don't want to go down the wrong path. Some things, but This is what Kundalini is. This might be moving the energy through your body that we talk about. And then because of this, you give off a certain aura. But the problem is there might be certain blockages in these energy patterns. Like, because we all get stuck somewhere. Like, I could tell you my throat chakra was definitely, like, this is why, I'm getting a lot better at speaking. English is my first language. My throat chakra was always blocked. I mean, I couldn't speak English or Albanian or any other languages. And I had such a hard time, but I can't achieve enlightenment. I can't become a fully realized person if I don't go through this. If I don't move this energy up through my body. And this is the Kundalini. The chakras are spinning wheels. This is what it means in Sanskrit, wheel. That's what a chakra is. And there's blockages. They almost call it like a flow of water, or the snake moving up, right? The snake or the flow of water can't go through if there's a blockage in one of these wheels. And this is what we have to do. And how do we do this? We change our state of consciousness. We change how we think about things. And I'm just using an example, like with my throat chakra. I went back to Albania. I spent more time with my family. I listen more. I try to learn and write. I try to actively learn English. I took Spanish in high school too. That helped. But I sucked at that too. But I was just so bad at language. But I'm not bad at language. I had an emotional block, a conscious block, an energy block. And I had to fix it. I had to clear it out and understand that. And I believe I opened up my throat chakra because I didn't think I would be making videos this long on YouTube for people to see. I mean, I could barely speak in front of one person. And now I'm speaking in front of all these people. Like, it blows my mind. But this is what Kundalini is. I'm trying to explain this the best as possible, so bear with me, guys. Okay? But it's just this is very, very hard to expand upon and speak. But because of this, the energy going through our body, our aura grows bigger, and other people can see this. Other people can feel it. We walk into a room, people can see it. I could tell you my energy. I noticed I changed. I changed dramatically. I don't know. It was a process, but at a certain point I changed because I brought up some injuries like my peroneal nerve. I had 3 slip discs. I actually had a light heavyweight punch me in the back, right in my back where it's illegal, right in my kidney. That's why it's illegal. You hit anybody in the kidney, they're going down, and I had organ damage. And this was in 2021, and I couldn't fight at all. But all I could do was I couldn't move my body around. I had my fluids coming out of my. I mean, I noticed I was getting nauseous, but I guess the fluids in my organ in my kidney were just spewing out, and I really thought I had to get a new kidney. I mean, thankfully I could just get rid of it, right? It's like, who cares? But thankfully I have both kidneys today. Thank God every day for that. And it was just from a bullshit, just cheap hit, honestly, just a cheap shot on me. But again, I'm so grateful for it because I found something else. This is when I was learning about energy the most. Because the reason why I'm bringing this up because it was my back and I couldn't move around, right? But I had to keep my spinal cord straight because you can't meditate. Like this person right here is meditating. You can't. Your body, you got to be upright. This is why it's important for posture to fix the energy pathway. This is why you feel more confident. This is why you feel stronger because the energy can actually go through. And I physically mean energy, electricity through your spinal cord if you still don't believe me, right? This is why it's so important to stand up straight and you come off of a different aura. Because if I was like this on video, right, and I was talking right now, be giving off a different aura, or I wouldn't look as confident if I didn't look like this. And you could actually tell, I don't know if you could tell on camera, I actually sound different because I'm compressing my lungs, okay? In fighting, it's kind of hard to do this because I'm protecting myself, but I gotta breathe, right? It's always been a paradox with that. But if I open up like this, I sound better, I sound stronger. I don't know if you could tell right here. I mean, you could just tell with the aura on camera. And I noticed all this. And I spent a lot of time in solitude because I've had so many injuries. I mean, like, you're just damaged goods, especially if you're a fighter, if you're hurt. I mean, just being injured or sick in society in general, people just throw you away, hide you in a hospital, in a retirement home. And this happens to the elderly a lot too. It's such a black pill, but nobody cares if you're hurt. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to be around that. They act like you're contagious. But I'm so grateful for that because people were just stealing my solitude every second they could. And when I got injured, I could actually be alone. I could actually be by myself. And that's when I actually found the energy inside of me. I actually understood this. I actually had time to myself. I can actually cultivate this because you do this through meditation. This is why I meditate every single day because that is meditation. You could call it potential energy. You're just sitting there doing nothing and your mind is just going and you're trying to organize your thoughts. You're trying to watch your thoughts, observe your thoughts, try to clear your mind, see who you actually are on the inside. And I would meditate hours on end, and I got addicted. And I would just run to the forest. I would run into nature, just trying to just meditate, just trying to find myself. And like, see, it's funny. I never considered myself a spiritual person, or a lot of people wear that mask, right? But I think I was just forced to become one just through solitude throughout my life. I mean, a lot about the solitude, which wasn't my choice to be honest, like me getting injured, but it had to happen. And this is when I was learning about these things. And then I remember when I came back, just like Zarathustra that I've talked to you about before, coming down from the mountain, learning what he's teach. Everyone could feel his aura off of me. I would walk into rooms and people would just look at me. And I know this is anecdotal. You gotta take my word for it. But I mean, before this, when I was a fighter in my 20s, angry about life, I didn't even exist to anybody. But now I'm walking to rooms and people are looking at me, and I believe it's because of my aura. I believe it's what I'm giving off. It's what I understand more about energy in myself now. I was so thrown off. It's just like I just went into a whole different reality. But I really did at the end of the day because I went from anger. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, it's very hard. Maybe I did taste a little bit of enlightenment. I don't know. It's just so many of these things I've never felt before. Willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. I mean, I've always been down here in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger. Like I'm just being real. I mean, I'm just a man in the United States. I mean, this is what the average dude feels like. It's just your life's just shit. I thought this was life. I didn't know all this existed up here. I mean, I thought this is all bullshit or like what women and children feel. But these are real things when you especially experience them because you can change your mindset whenever you can. Uh, you don't need anybody. I want to say Miyamoto Musashi. I'm going to say this off the top of my head. But Miyamoto Musashi said, there's nothing in life, nothing outside of yourself for you to get stronger, faster, quicker, more agile, more perceptive, richer. There's nothing you could find outside of yourself. Everything is within. And I really believe this, and I learned this meditating in the forest when I was injured, when I was isolated, when I was. And the thing is, as a kid, I would do this all the time, but it's just I had nothing to do. I had nobody to hang out with. It's just like I just grew up rough. It's just like I realize now compared to other kids, I would say my childhood was great, right? But saying it on camera and speaking to other people, it doesn't sound too good. But it was such a blessing because I would never figured out these things. I never became quote unquote spiritual person. I hate saying that, but I guess that's what people label me, right? Because I'm very intuitive and I have aura, and I believe this is what I cultivated and I brought, and I want to bring this to martial arts and fighting, become the best fighter that I can possible. Because I actually found something that I was good at because I've been fighting my whole life, especially when I was a kid. I mean, like I've had majority of my interactions with kids were just fighting. At the end of the day, or just violence, and I was eventually just good at it. But I found this in solitude, and I noticed there are more things in life that I didn't know existed, and I believe this is what a lot of people in history, like Miyamoto Musashi, went through, and what he discovered. But this is just so real, and like this all comes from energy. And right here, Charlemagne, take care of the body and your soul, for the soul is the light of your body. And this is why it's so important to focus on your nutrition. You're eating real food. You're not eating goy slop, okay? You're not eating things with a bunch of preservatives, dyes, a bunch of garbage, whatever chemicals, chemical concoctions they're throwing in there. We're actually putting in real foods. We're keeping track of our calories. We're keeping track of our macros. We're understanding our micronutrition. We're getting the right food in. Because we can't maintain this aura. Like, I was fasting immensely. Especially you live in the Western world, in the United States, you have to fast. And no wonder Buddha fasted. Jesus Christ fasted. Zarathustra, the real Zarathustra fasted too. All great people fasted. I mean, that's a shortcut up the consciousness ladder. I could tell you that right now. If there's any shortcut, it is fasting. You go up to enlightenment real quick. And I want to say, see, it's so hard, but good thing David R. Hawkins has a test for this that I want to look into more. But like, I want to say I've definitely been at peace. I don't know about enlightenment. I don't know what enlightenment feels. I mean, right here, he's saying it's a log from 700 to 1000. And he just says ineffable emotional state is God view self, pure consciousness. I don't know if I've been there. Maybe peace, bliss, and perfect all being and illumination. Yeah. But fasting is the best way because we're just cleaning out our bodies because we just eat. It's so hard to get away from bullshit. And people forget prana, the life energy, the breathing, right? Ka, with the Egyptians, they believed in the same thing too. People don't realize you're absorbing things in your body when you breathe. And there's heavy metals in the air. I mean, 70% of our air is nitrogen. I want to say, like, I don't even know, like 10, 20% is about actual oxygen that we need to live. So majority of our air is just bullshit. We got a great filtering system called our nose and our lungs and everything. But it's not the best, and things still get in our body because what we breathe in, that becomes part of us. Like, nobody really thinks about it like that at the end of the day, to be honest. But and even like the lotions that we put on, soaps. I mean, like, like, take care of your body, then your soul. For the body is for the soul is the light of your body. Again, I'm gonna keep saying it, and this so profound. And it starts with your body because I don't believe we can move up the consciousness ladder. We can't control the energy inside of us if we don't change our diet. As easy as that is. And I'm talking about martial arts. I'm talking about my experience. But now I started this business. I'm like, whoa. I need to I need to keep training like an athlete. I need to keep eating like an athlete, even though I have a business. I need to make time for it. A lot of people get fat and flabby, right? When they make a business, and you don't even think of businessmen being in shape and everything. But this matters because I need to be in a higher state of consciousness. If I want to reach other people, I want, like right now, like if I want to raise my aura and get clients and people in my business, my aura has to be high because what am I teaching? People don't want to be around that. People don't want to be around people down here in the forest part in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. I mean, people want to get out of that. I got to be somewhere higher to get people out of these lower states of consciousness. And I believe I could do this through fitness. And this goes with everything in your life. So, like, don't think like I don't need to train. You need to train if you want to be a better parent, better businessman, be better at your job, brother, sister. I mean, anything. Learn one thing, know 10,000 things. I'll say it again. Miyamoto Musashi, and this goes into this. This this is for everything to get better at everything. But we need to take care of our bodies first. We need to be keeping track of our macros. We need to be understanding all these things, and then we need to actually create that energy. Because everybody that has aura, I could tell you, they eat good and they're strong, they're healthy. You want to be just like them. I mean, like some of the people I named, or athletes. Athletes have a lot of aura, right? I mean, the way they walk around, people could just look at them like, who are these guys? I'm talking about any athletes, not just fighters, but they have their food down and they have their training down. And that's what training is, your potential to kinetic energy. You're using electricity in your body. You're using your brain. You're pumping your blood through your body, sending all these nutrients everywhere. This is why you gain energy when you work out. Like people are like, I'm too tired to work out. I can't train. I don't have my caffeine. No, exercise is the answer. I can tell you when I'm in a funk, working on my business, sitting on my computer, stationary, I just hit some burpees. I hit some push-ups, some squats, and then boom, I'm back on. And then the ideas are coming in. Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche would go on walks for hours, and he was right about this. He wasn't an athlete, but he was right about this. He said my best ideas came from my walks or after my walks. I mean, he wrote "Thus Spoke Zarathustra." I have it right here. Made a little video on this before, but he wrote this book in 10 days. Right there, that's a big book. He wrote this in 10 days after a walk. Had that whole idea from it. Unbelievable how that man's brain works, because this took me so long to do, and this isn't even a whole book right here. But it's just exercise training. And I want to say it was a video from Academy of Ideas, and check them out on YouTube. They're absolutely amazing. But they had a they had a video on exercise, and they're talking about that people and the elites in every field, and you could go from business, computer programming. I mean, like, you name it, anything. The people, one commonality everyone had in every field was they trained. The highest, the 1% in each field, they trained, they worked out. I'm like, that is hysterical. That is the one thing I have down in life. I know how to train. There's I know how to fight, I know how to train, I know how to eat, I know everything on fitness. Like, that's all I need. I'm so ahead of the game on everything else. Like, you're already in the 1%, and this could take you in the 1%. But by doing these things indirectly, taking care of the physical, you're actually bringing up your consciousness. You're actually going to a higher state of mind to actually be who you want to be. Do you see? You can actually reach your full realized self. You can move this kundalini going up. You can control your chakra, right? Or you can actually power up. Do you see what I'm saying? Get your hockey up. You know, this is what I'm talking about. And these things are very real. And this isn't like, and again, it's not woo woo. There's actual like truth in this. I never believed in this. I never believed in the. Yeah, see, it's crazy the way I'm talking about right now. But when I was in the state of mind, especially in my early 20s, I was an atheist. I was a hardcore atheist. I didn't believe anything. The only thing I trusted was what I could, my fists right here, what I can actually see, my actual muscles, the matter, the physical. This is the only thing I could see. This is the only thing I could trust. But it was up until I believe I had these things in place, my nutrition, my training, solitude. It was just the perfect storm, perfect recipe to actually see higher states of consciousness. This is what I really believe. Atheists don't exist. It's just they don't have higher states of consciousness. They haven't seen it. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is with a lot of things in life, okay? That's some real wisdom, right? That's a bar right there, okay? But it's just, oh man, it's just like, to go back to this and Tesla. I got hope you guys can see this right here. It's a plasma ball. So this is basically a Tesla coil with glass around it, and it shoots off electricity into plasma. Like if I turn it on right here, oh, it doesn't want to turn on for me? There you go. Look at that. And I'm sure you've seen this, right? And if I touch it, it gets all concentrated right there. And Tesla found out, like, this doesn't work with all light bulbs. They actually don't make these anymore. I bet for certain reason. But I can actually light this right here. Like if I hold this a certain way, can you see it lighting up? I gotta concentrate this energy. Yeah, I want to show this really good on camera. Do you see that lighting up right there? I gotta hold it a certain way. Yeah, that's a lot better. You see that right there? This shows us electricity can move throughout the air. And it's a logarithm. Yeah, that's a good light right there. And you see, this isn't a magic trick. This isn't on. This is just me touching this right here. Do you see how that's lighting up right there? This is electricity moving through the air, going through this light bulb right here. And our bodies are basically a Tesla coil. That's what our spine is to our brain. And you see, we're giving off energy to other people. That's why other people can sense our aura, or other fighters could sense our aura. Because this is what changes their consciousness, depending on their level, or in business, or making content. You know, every time, like right now, I'm putting this energy into this video for you to see. Like everything is energy. Everything is an energy transfer. This all comes from the sun, you could say, at the end of the day. And energy cannot be created or destroyed. Like, I hope this is giving you a spark in your brain, and then you go commit some action. Do you see how that energy transfer going through there? Like, this is the point of these YouTube videos. I'm trying to change people's lives. I'm trying to help people through my energy that I cultivated of years of practice, and then giving out to everybody else. This is my ka, my mana, my ki, my chi, my prana, my viril, my lush, whatever you want to call it, my haki, right? My nen, whatever you want to call it, my kundalini. This is what I'm trying to do, raise other people's consciousness. And it's funny, by getting in shape, by getting ripped, by fasting, you know, fixing up your diet, your food, your consciousness goes up with it. And this is just good for all of humanity. You know, this is the whole goal. But as you could see in society right now, they don't want our consciousness higher. They want our consciousness low. They want us thinking down here in shame, in survival, basically, as low as possible. They want us worried about the next 2 weeks if we're getting that paycheck. They want us to worry about our bills. They want us eating like shit. They want to be spraying the skies and controlling the weather. They want to be sending down heavy metals, destroying us. They want to, and so they could do whatever they want, like on Epstein Island or in the state of Israel, or they're controlling the whole world. They're controlling the whole money supply. You know who I'm talking about. I actually said it, something right there. It's not conspiracy anymore. But human beings are powerful beyond measure. I extremely believe this. You know, I really believe, me, myself, I'm an atom bomb of energy. We all are. But the thing is, we need to cultivate the energy. Because if we're always down here, we're very low. We can't do anything. We don't believe we could do anything. I mean, one person, I mean, like Jesus Christ, the Buddha, they're up at enlightenment. And that was their baseline. And do you see how they changed the whole world? Especially Christ in the West. And like, I mean, yeah, you could say Christ overall is probably one of the greatest men that ever lived. Do you see what he did? Through fasting. He was a carpenter. He was definitely big and strong. You know, he ate good food. He didn't have microplastics and glyphosate to deal with back in Galilee and Judea, right? In Palestine. But it's just, do you see what I'm saying? If everybody was at this level, how could they control us? How can they do anything? This is my mission for everybody. This is what I want to help everybody with. Because I'm not saying I'm at Jesus Christ level. Don't think I'm saying that. But I believe I'm trying to get close. This is what I'm trying to do. And I could do this for everybody. And Christ says we can all do this. You know, obviously, he is God, but like, we can all become this. We all have this in us. Because he was a man too. I mean, he proved it to us. Even though he is God, but he came down as a man. And we could do the same thing. You know, it's cliche, but you know, you could be like Christ. But this is what we got to do. And I believe we do this through training. I believe we could do this through our diet and our mindset and through solitude and cultivating basically an ecosystem of energy that we can actually move around. Because the mass, the matter, the atoms, that's just a byproduct. That's just a bonus. You look good. You know, you look strong. You can scare some people, right? You're pretty big. You know, people give you compliments. Yeah, that's cool. But all this is what I'm talking about. This is what it's all about right here. Next thing I want to get to is, I got it written right here, but the gateway process. I'll talk a little bit about this. And this is what the document looks like. And this document, I'm going to scroll through it a little bit. There's some interesting pictures right there. This is by Robert Monroe. And he talks, and it's I believe it's it's 29 pages, but it's missing a page. You know, yeah, how unfortunate, right? But yeah, it's very interesting. And I recommend all you guys to read it. It's not gonna make sense the first time, but it's gonna get really, really. Oh man, this whole bag of worms I'm opening up on this video. But the gateway process. Let me start with this. Robert Monroe. He was a radio station host for in Columbus, Ohio. You know, I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio. So like, oh, what a coincidence. And he actually has an institute called the Monroe Institute, and the CIA came to him because he learned this thing called hemisync, and he would shoot two different frequencies into his head through his headphones because he knew a lot about frequencies. He knew a lot about vibration. He was a radio host. He knew about the science and the technology, right? And he would put these two different frequencies, and let's say if you put like a 5 hertz frequency in one ear and 3 hertz, and then it would be a 2 hertz subtracted in his head. And because of that, this is the hemisync process. I'm simplifying it, but it would cause him to astral project, and he had out of body experiences. And at first, he thought he was losing his mind, but he kept on doing it, and over again. That's holy shit. It's fucking insane. And the CIA came to him in the 80s, and he's like, hey, we know they found out what he was doing, and they were just giving him money. There's just like millions of dollars. They took him to, oh man, I think he was in Virginia. I want to say Richmond. I'm not sure. You would have to double check me on this, but it's in Virginia. It still stands there today. You could buy retreats there, and basically just study the mind. And he found out a lot of things. And he was talking about in here, the world is holographic. He was saying the world is just all energy, and this makes even more sense. You could change the whole world through energy, like I'm saying, because you give it a different lens. And he talks about the brain right here and the way it's shaped. And he just says that, oh man, it's absolutely unbelievable. It talks about hypnosis and meditation, some of the stuff I was doing, and it just makes so much sense. And talks about Kundalini and the trends and enlightenment, and then it gets even crazier with the hemisync. And then he uses a great. I love this analogy by him: the lamp versus the laser. And this actually goes back to this. So a lamp that's lit, light is just going everywhere. A laser is at pinpoint. Like you point a laser pointer in someone's eye, it could almost blind them because the photons are so strong. And with Robert Monroe, he claims we need to be a laser if we want to do things like astral projection, raise our consciousness, our aura, maybe throw our power into our punches, right? We need to do this with our energy. This is how we need to use our energy. This is how we can become powerful. Maybe potentially throw some kamehamehas, right? Out, uh, you know, turn a lamp into a laser, right? I don't know. It could be. I mean, they could do this in machines, but yeah, unbelievable stuff, right? Way out there, and you could find this on the CIA website. This is my source. The CIA website, Freedom of Information Act. Go all the way down. This is taxpayer money that paid for this. Your taxes. So this is why you're allowed to learn about it. But they don't give you everything. I can tell you that right now. But I've read the document multiple times and I get something new from it every time. And it's very unbelievable. But basically saying if we focus our energy, we could develop quote unquote psychic powers, change the realm that we live in, not just our consciousness. I'm talking about low level stuff here. But he gets way out there. But this is some proof to this. This stuff works. This is low level stuff. I mean, like, I'm an amateur when it comes to this because I'm just a brute trying to use it in martial arts and fighting. I was trying to use this stuff to beat people in a cage, but it goes that far. I mean, I hope I don't get a knock on my door after I release this YouTube video. But this is the stuff I've been looking into, and whole governments and countries have been studying this for years, you know. And this goes into psychic abilities because everything is controlled by your mind. Like the strongmen of 100 years ago, or the whole transcendental movement is a part of this too. They believed, I mean, your muscles are controlled by your mind. It's kind of funny when you think of a psychic or someone that's all in their brains, like, or the nerd archetype, right? Like, they're not the smartest people because they're neglecting their body, because this is where all this stuff comes from. This is what I'm telling you. You need a proper vessel first to do anything in your life. And I'm talking about crazy, I'm talking about some way out there crazy stuff with developing psychic powers and stuff. But I'm telling you, just to have a good life, to find the right partner, to get the job you want, to start the business you want, to make money, to live on the planet, to live a human being, you need a strong, healthy body. And this is what we need to do. We need to focus on our health. We need to focus on our nutrition. We need to focus on our training. We need to focus on our mindset. We need to clear out our mind, and we need to move our consciousness up. And I believe it's very basic stuff. I'm going very into it, but this is what we need to do. We need to cultivate these energies. And the thing is, these are ancient esoteric practices. Like we know ancient Egypt. I mean, we've probably been here on the earth more. Atlantis, even go there and everything. Like they knew about Ka and all these things, and everything was running off of frequencies. Most likely, I mean, it's just the truth, right? And they knew about all this. They knew about all this. And then go back to the gateway process. Uh, Robert Monroe, he said that he was taking people through these processes, and this goes to Lush, and this one I gotta bring up because this just came up recently in the news, and I never thought this would be mainstream stuff people would be talking about, but he said that he started having these out of body experiences. He was exploring basically the spiritual world. We live in the world of matter and physical, and you could hold things. And this world is very tough and hard. And I don't have to tell you how life is. The spiritual world's very different. It's a whole different dimension. Again, I've never been there, so describing basically a country I've never been to, right? It's kind of the same idea, but this is what Robert Monroe claims, and he claims it's a world like ours with other entities and things. And an- another thing he brought up was, and he's got writings and pictures on this, on basically reptilians. Yeah, what you think, David Icke, right? Reptilians. Reptilians have been seen through all cultures and our mythology, and they've always been the enemy of mankind, which is very interesting. It's very deep in our mythology. But he says these reptilians, these malevolent, evil creatures, which he claims them to be, we're harvesting our energy, our loosh, because we're always in pride and below on the force chart. Pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. These reptilians feed off this, and they call it loosh. This is this is coined by Robert Monroe, and about like 80% of the people that did these things at the Monroe Institute, they met these reptilians, and they had interactions with them, but everyone told Robert Monroe, "Don't speak to anybody on this. Don't tell anybody I told you." Or that I talked about this because I don't want you to think I'm a crazy person. And yeah, he kept their secret, but he knew it was a real thing. He knew it existed, and people were seeing these things. And now in the news, on Fox News, they're talking about aliens. People, they're trying to distract us from the Epstein list, but they're talking about aliens from Nordics, the Greys, uh, insect humanoid type creatures, and reptilians. Reptilians are actually in the news, and this is why I don't feel like a crazy person talking, man. Because there's some truth around it. Because you look into Robert Monroe. I mean, he's got dozens of books. I mean, I've got some of them over here, but he's got dozens of books. David Icke talks about this. David Icke, even Alex Jones, they were called crazy crackpots for it, and I called them crazy too. But then looking into this more, these reptilians or other entities, I don't even know. I mean, demons, or maybe you think these things we create in our mind. I have no idea. I'm not that well versed, but they're harvesting our loosh, our energy. So just think about that. Because we're in this higher consciousness. They can't do this to us. You're way too powerful. Even toward other human beings. Other people can't hurt you because your aura is too high. I mean, I really believe in demonic possession. People are possessed by demons. I mean, look at the society that we live in. Average person has a demon in them. Yeah, bold claim, right? I just believe that's true. I mean, like, look at the depravity, the degeneracy, how people betray, hurt each other just over money. Nothing. Louis, really just betraying your fellow man for nothing. But this is all feeding into the loosh, and their consciousness is so low, and their food they eat is so bad and shitty, and they're so deprived. I mean, this is why they're doing this, because their aura is low, because they're controlled by demonic forces. But in the higher realms of consciousness, you could see between heaven and hell, and all the entities that live in heaven, or the entities that you surround yourself by, the other souls, the other light, they keep you in a higher state of consciousness in your aura, and they can't attack you. You're not on their level. I mean, yeah, I'm getting I'm getting really out there, but I'm saying spiritually you're protected. I mean, just like Jesus Christ up here rated at 700 at 1,000. And his view of life is his God view self of pure consciousness. But this is how you protect yourself. And you could say all these animes too, they're almost talking about the second coming of Jesus, almost another Messiah, like Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece, or Naruto, or Goku in Dragon Ball, or even Officer North Star, Kenshiro. These are Messiah-like figures. I mean, you always see this. Or even the Buddha unlocking all of his chakras. You know, that makes you a Buddha, right? It's just, this is what it is. It's a higher state of consciousness. So I'm going from the micro to the macro. Your body's a temple, right? You are a microcosm of the universe. Because you change yourself, you change the whole universe. I'm telling you this right now. As above, as below. Hermetic principle right there. This is what I'm talking about. And we do this through training. We do this through nutrition. And we do this by getting our mindset right. Getting meditation, solitude, understanding ourselves. This is where it comes from. And then we can actually move up. We can actually change ourselves. We can actually become something greater than we're supposed to be. This is what we got to do. This is, you could say this is the mission of life. This is what we're put here on earth. We're not put here on earth to make money or build status or be with countless women or whatever, you name it, whatever superficial thing the average normie goes after. This is what we're here on earth to raise our consciousness, to become self, to become pure consciousness, to understand ourselves, to understand the universe. You know, basically become children again, back in our mindset, if you understand what I'm talking about. From Nietzsche's Zarathustra, from the lion, from the camel to the lion to the child. This is what we have to become. You know, the story of Christ, the story of Buddha. And this is what I believe Tesla was trying to tell us. This is what he was trying, but unfortunately, it's just he failed in the process because bigger things at stake with Edison and other things in his story. But this is what I believe. This is what I believe training will take you through. This is what I believe on what energy is. And I want to be, I'm probably going to recreate this video because I'm going to learn more things. I'm going to have more experiences. And I was always stopping myself from creating this video because I just didn't think I knew a lot about it or knew anything about it. But I'm just going to speak on it. And I'm glad I did this video right now. I have no idea how long I went, but I just kept on going. But I'm going to leave it here. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one and I can teach you all these things I've learned right here, we can incorporate this into our training because I want to raise your this is what I'm doing. I'm essentially raising your aura. I'm raising your energy. This is how we're going to get in shape. This is how we're going to lose weight, especially for this. This is how we're going to feel better. This is how we're going to build muscle because, you know, my main offer, I help people lose 30 pounds in 3 months. But on the way, you're going to see, you're going to learn a lot of other things that you didn't expect to learn. But this is what I want to help people with. So if you're down to do that, follow me on Instagram, DM me. Or if you're ready right now, book a call and the link in the description right there. But follow me on Instagram, message. I want to talk to everybody. Okay, check out my other content on there and my other socials. But this is what energy is. This is what I believe. And I'm going to have many videos to come in the future. But thank you guys. Much appreciated. Peace.